What is up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Odds and Ends. Last time we did a response video to MEGADAN29, $100 Super Nintendo collection. What would you buy? This time he has upped the ante and we are talking about my favorite console of all time, the PlayStation 2. So last video had a great time making that video. Bought a lot of challenge trying to get, all those games, as many games as you can for under $100. The PlayStation 2 was actually worse to make this video because the library is so big, the genre selection is so deep, and PlayStation 2, a lot of these games are still really affordable. So it's hard to choose when you only have $100 to spend. Now you do have to use price charting for these, which is sort of the standard. Everybody has to kind of use a price charting, but still the price fluctuates with price charting as well. But PlayStation 2 is so dominant. It's my favorite console of all time. I remember buying mine when I was in Yuma, Arizona. I was stationed out there at the KB toy store. It was like $400, but it came with like 3 games. And yeah, it was crazy town. And I always tell this story. She wrote the serial number down, and she made me sign a waiver saying that I wouldn't leave it in my car, and come back into the mall because people would go out to your car, follow you, and break in and steal your PS2. It was weird. It was a weird time back then, and yeah, gosh, it's crazy. I love the PS2, and this looks crooked. How's that? It's still bad. So before we get to the honorable mentions, my list, I had 11 games for $99.69. I will put all that information in the comments or the description down there so you guys can see what I spent my $100 on. Yeah, it's always interesting to see what kind of concessions you have to make, like this game over that game, because this game is cheaper. But some honorable mentions, and there are a million of them on the PlayStation 2. I just wrote down a handful here. Ghost Rider, James Bond, Everything or Nothing, Sylphied, Lost Planet, God of War, Pac-Man World 2, Sly Cooper, Spyro games, Crash games, Metal Gear 2 or 3, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, X-Men Legend games, that kind of stuff. Tomb Raider Anniversary. Now, I really wanted that one, but it was a little too expensive. It was like $12, and I needed it to be at like the $10 range. And the last honorable mention here is Beyond Good and Evil, a game that does not get a lot of love, and I still need to go back and finish that game. But I played a couple hours into it, really enjoyed it, but it was like 14 or 15 bucks, and I just couldn't fit it in on the list. So, hey, what did fit in on the list were 11 games for $99.69. Let's go. So after I made all this list of games that I wanted to kind of look into and price, I found 10 games, and one of the games we had $3.30 left over. So I was on price charting, and I just put the dollar amount in reverse order. So to see if there were any games that were $3.33 or under. And there were a couple. There was like an NBA Live game, but I went with Tiger Woods 2002 as sort of my throw-in game. It was $2.99. I'm not going to talk too much about that one. It's golf, you know what I mean? And the Tiger Woods games are usually pretty good. I did get 2 other sports games. I got MLB 2005, which was, I remember buying it when it came out, and it came with a voucher or a code that you go online. Now that was still kind of new back then in 2005, and you could order a New Era hat for free for buying the game. Plus, I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan, and that team still had Barry Larkin and Ken Griffey Jr. on it, which is why I got it, man. I love that game, and it was less than $5. It was $4.59. But I guess my bigger sports title was NCAA College Football 2005. What a great year for sports games at $5.01. And yeah, I've put in like 30 seasons of college football on that particular game. You could switch teams, and I think I was starting out Ohio State, went to Virginia Tech, and I might be at Wyoming right now. So I always take those little schools and try and build them up. But anyway, those are the 3 sports games that I had on my list. Not gonna spend too much time talking about them. So when I saw that MEGADAN was doing this challenge again, this response video again, and it was the PlayStation 2, there's like 5 or 6 games that immediately popped up in my head that I had to have. The first one is Syphon Filter Dark Mirror. Pretty awesome game. I talk about it all the time. It's it's one of these stealthy action, sometimes shooter games. But this one is the peak, in my opinion, of the Syphon Filter franchise. There are 3 games on the PS1, 3 games on the PS2. The Omega Strain isn't that good, but Logan Shadow on PS2 is really good as well. I just prefer Dark Mirror because you have these goggles. You've got like infrared goggles, you've got like thermal goggles, night vision goggles, and then goggles that are like EDT, they detect electricity, and you can kind of see where conduits go, and you can attack those conduits to get different effects in different parts of the level. You can use the night vision goggles to see things that you like, hidden passwords and stuff, to unlock safes. You know, it's just a really cool, in-depth game, and you can play stealth, you can go loud, you can start banging, but you do get like extra little things for, you know, meeting the stealth kill requirements per the levels. The other thing that's really cool is you have the rifle in this game. The sniper rifle comes with regular bullets, exploding bullets, gas darts, and electric like taser darts. So there's just a lot of variety. Again, I love the game. And it was $6.51. And honestly, if you don't have that in your PlayStation 2 collection, I don't even know what we're doing here. The next game that came to mind is definitely one of my favorite PlayStation 2 games of all time. And it is Tekken Tag, man. Like, I know Tekken's like a thing now, but even back then when Tekken Tag came out, it was still sort of this like arcade game. And to have the tag version on a home console was absolutely incredible. It was $8.68 for the greatest hits version. It was like $10 something for the regular Black Label version. But to be a little thrifty and save some dollars and cents, I went with the greatest hits version. And yeah, man, you know, just so many great characters. I love the grapple attacks. I love the different combinations. Like I use like Eddie Gordo and like Brian, or Brian and Heihachi, you know, or something like that. I'll use, you just flip the characters around. But yeah, great grapple attacks. Doesn't really take that long to complete it. But yeah, you're gonna unlock characters and, you know, arenas and all that other stuff. Standard fighting game fare, but it is my favorite arcade fighter that, you know, was translated to the PlayStation 2. So had to have Tekken Tag on the list. Another PlayStation 2 game that I had to have on the list, and you know, a game that nobody really talks about a lot, but everybody kind of knows about, Conflict Desert Storm. There was like 3 or 4 of these made, Desert Storm 2, Back to Baghdad, Vietnam, Global Terror Conflict, whatever it was. But the first one is really, really good, and it was only $6.66, which is a weird number. I'm gonna make that 667 just so I don't have 666 on my paper. Cool. But yeah, it's like a tactical military third-person shooter type game. The first mission you play as Brady. You rescue the sniper Foley, and then in the next mission you can use Brady or Foley. You can give commands like send Foley over there, and then you can switch between them. Like you switch back onto the mountain with Foley and shoot down. You can switch to Brady, and then you have like a team of 4 as the game goes on, and you're like taking out tanks and deploying each other on the battlefield, and getting like good shooting angles. It's just a really, really cool game that nobody really talks about. The graphics don't really hold up that well compared to later PS2 versions, but I believe Conflict Desert Storm came out on all the consoles, I think GameCube and Xbox. So if you're a fan of one of those consoles, definitely give this one a try. It's very, very good and very, very underrated in my opinion. Megadan had a wrestling game. I also had a wrestling game, but I have a different wrestling game. I have Smackdown Just Bring It, $8.15 for the greatest hits version. Now, you know, wow, wrestling at that time was still hot, right? I don't know if it's that good now, but man, when you had Stone Cold and Triple H and The Rock and all, you know, anyway, it's just a great version of the game. I think Chris Jericho's in that game. Yeah, just fun to play. It's, you know, arcadey style versus, you know, these newer simulation style games, which I prefer the arcade style. My son and I would play this game a lot. He was a big fan of the Hurricane, and he, in the created character, made Hurricane Helms and would play as the Hurricane. But yeah, you get all those cool nostalgic feels when you play this game with the entrances and the finishing maneuvers, and you can kind of chain moves together. You know, like The Rock would do like a dragon screw and then maybe into a sharpshooter. You can do that in this game. So yeah, Just Bring It, $8.15, the greatest hits version. Can't really complain. Next up is a game that I played on the PS2, never finished, but finished it this year on the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 3 version of Kingdom Hearts. Now, I played the 1.5 HD remix, which has some extra content to it, but the original Kingdom Hearts for $10.13, man, you were talking about a value pick. All the stuff that you can do in Kingdom Hearts, all the things that there are to do, the side quests, Winnie the Pooh's forest and saving all the Dalmatians and, leveling up and synthesizing all of the weapons and things like that to get 100% and to get the Ultima Blade. The Coliseum, all the fights that you have to go through. But what a great concept, man. There's videos on YouTube about the history of the Final Fantasy Disney kind of mashup here. And it's just incredible how these things come together. And the final product, Kingdom Hearts, for $10.13, in my opinion, is an absolute steal because of the amount of content and gameplay that's there. So yeah, I wasn't gonna leave that one off the list. And yeah, I love that game, man. I don't even know what to say about Kingdom Hearts. If you love Kingdom Hearts, leave a comment down below. So one of the cool things about this particular challenge with the PlayStation 2, like I said, a lot of PS2 games are affordable. So when you're making this list and you only have $100 to spend, you can get games that you love, but you can also get value games, good games at a good value that you've never played before. So I've got two right here, two games that I've never played before that I threw on this list. I got Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Could have gone Vice City, but I went San Andreas. I went with Megadan's pick here. Now I got it for $11.33 today. I don't know what his was. I think it was a little bit more expensive. So it's a fluctuation in the price charting. But I've never played San Andreas. I do love Grand Theft Auto 5. I loved Mafia 3, and these open world sandbox games I really need to play a lot more of because I do like them. They're just so time consuming. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, I'm putting 100 hours into Kingdom Hearts, so whatever. It's CM Retro logic right there. But yeah, these Grand Theft Auto games, they're really, really good. And yeah, you can play these on these other consoles, PS3, PS4. I was thinking about getting the Definitive Edition trilogy and live streaming it. And you guys could like walk me through it, and we could you could backseat drive. But yeah, San Andreas is a game that I've just always had it on my backlog. Never got around to playing it. And for $11.33. Definitely gonna make my PS2 $100 challenge list, that's for sure. The second game that I've never played that made the list was Resident Evil 4. You wanna talk about a value pick? $10 for the greatest hits version for price charting. $10 for Resident Evil 4. I'm sure there's better versions of it, like on PS4 or PS5 or whatever, I don't even know. But yeah, $10, Resident Evil 4, add a horror game. It's an action game too. Never played it, don't know anything about it. But I know for $10, that is a really, really good price for a game of that magnitude. So the last game I had on my list, this was my big expenditure, man. Like, I probably could have gotten 2 or 3 more games had I passed on this one. But I felt like I had to have it. You guys know that I love STG shooting games. Not STDs, STGs, shooting games. And, I got to have a shooter on the list. And there's so many great shooters on the PS2. There's some Gradius games. There's R-Type Final. I mentioned one earlier, Sylphid Lost Planet was a working designs game, which is still under 25 bucks, I think. But I went with Castle Shikigami 2 at $25.64. I love the Shikigami no Shiro series. If you follow me on Facebook, I actually finally got around to playing Castle of Shikigami 3 on the Wii. Beat that one. But Castle Shikigami 2 is a bullet hell style shooter, man. It's bright, it's beautiful, colorful. It's a very powerful game in terms of what it does. There's a lot of characters. They each have these spirit powers, and they come in 2 different versions, so you can select the version that's best for you. A lot of customization here, and it's actually technically a bullet grazer because if you're close enough to the enemy fire, your return fire does more damage, garners more points. If you're into the total score type thing, but just a beautiful game, and it really, in my opinion, shows off what the PlayStation 2 could really do, especially with these types of games. You're looking at the gameplay right now, and you're probably going, wow, that looks amazing, and I've never heard of that game before. But for, $25, go out and get yourself a game that, not a lot of people talk about, not a lot of PS2 collectors even know about or care about. And this was actually the sequel to Mobile Light Force 2, which, there's a whole story with the Shikigami no Shiro and the Gunbird series and how it was localized here. But yeah, anyway, so Mobile Light Force 2 is another Shikigami no Shiro game. It's in this same family. It's not like some weird Charlie's Angels ripoff is what everybody says. But yeah, Castle of Shikigami is my shooter of choice, and I love it. All right, guys, that is going to do it. That is the $100 PlayStation 2 Collection Challenge. Those are my games. Like I said, I will leave them in the description down below so you can see what I got, what I paid for them, in theory, with price charting. I also leave a link to MEGADAN29's PlayStation 2 $100 challenge video down below so you can see what he picked up with his 100 bones or clams or whatever it is that you call them. And yeah, that is going to do it. What are some of your favorite PlayStation 2 games? Make sure you leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share on social media. Don't forget to bang that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all of your CM retro gaming goodness, guys. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you on the next one.